Make a U-turn. Then turn left on Avenida Prince.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to another session. Let me just stop sharing the screen. Okay, so welcome to another session. Right now we are on workshop number 4 for research in English teaching course. And basically, we are going to focus our attention on methodology. So we are going to go a little bit deeper into qualitative and quantitative methodology of research. And we are going to explore different topics that you previously studied before coming to the workshop. And in order to do that, there are going to be some activities that are designed for you to put into practice your acquired knowledge. I see that Alvaro, Anastasia, and Kenya are here in this session. So welcome. Just give me a second. So I'm going to share with you the link for today's presentation so that you can follow along the activities and also participate. Let me see. So there you will find the presentation. I'm going to give you extra chance for you to join into the presentation designed for today. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen and just so here we are. I already introduced the workshop. It's number 4. Basically, we are going to go deeper into quantitative and qualitative methodologies for our research. Right now, we are in the point of put in all steps and efforts in order to define what is going to be the methodology for the research proposal that you are working on. Because until this course it's over, you will be working on the proposal. So it's basically defining the topic, objectives, hypothesis, the justification of your research, among other elements, until reaching the point of the methodology, which is basically how you will implement the data collection process. So basically for today's session, we have 6 main activities. Welcome in the agenda, questions or doubts about the content. So before to start, there will be a space for you to ask any doubt that you might have. The getting started, topic classification, a video discussion, and some closure and reminders. So first thing that we are going to do is to try to remember as much as possible about the quantitative and qualitative research methodologies. In order to do that, we are going to work on a quizzes test. So you're going to visit the website that appears on screen, and actually, if you are in the presentation, you will be able to join into the code that I'm going to share with you. Just give me a moment. Um, So this is the code. I'm going to share the code with all of you in the chat so that you can easily enter the code. And I'm also checking that your names are appearing on the chat. So there you go. You have the code and you have also the quizzes. So let me know when ready.
Shall we?
Yes, please join in the quiz. In order to do that, you will insert the code that appears on the screen.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm there. I mean,
You're
shall
there.
we start?
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So is anybody else already there?
I am on it, but we need to start. We need to press the button that says
Oh,
start, or shall we wait?
wait. So I see
Okay.
Alvaro. I think that my internet connection is not working so nice because I'm just seeing Alvaro is there. So let's wait for the other two to appear here on the screen. Because as you can see right now, it's only Alvaro.
Yes, and it says waiting for the host to begin.
That's me. So let's wait for Kenya to appear on screen. Kenmini, there. Marianela, are you going to join us or do you have any issue that is preventing you to be part of the activity? I mean, Anester. I always got confused between Anester and Maria Elena.
Marianella's, I think, is the hospital with her father. So
Okay, so let's start so that we can move on with the rest of activities. Okay. Good. Next question. Let's be ready. Oh, it's okay, Anester. Don't worry. Okay. So this refers to a particular procedure or set of procedures applied in conducting a research or study. Okay. Let's see, next question. Two type of research. Okay. Let's move on and see the next question. Okay, aim to classify features, count them, and create statistical models to test hypotheses. And these are the choices: qualitative, interviews, quantitative method, fieldwork studies. Okay. Okay. Next question. Quantitative data collection techniques include all but the following. Okay, all of you are done. Check the next question.
Shall we select more than one? Because I just selected one.
Okay, you can select more.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's see. We are waiting for one for answering. Okay, we're still. Next question. Which type of information is most likely to be collected by quantitative research method? Attitudes and values, non-numerical data, descriptions and explanations, measurements and statistics. Okay, both of you already answered. Now let's move on a little bit with the next question. What is the characteristics of qualitative research? Researcher has to use facts concerned with generalization, evidence of form of visual, or evidence in the form of numbers. Okay, you already answered. Okay. Next question. Source for qualitative data is a financial report, experiment, recorded voice or video, exam marks. Okay, need to answer already. Okay, let's check the next question. Identify qualitative data collection techniques. Focus groups, questionnaires, observations, interview, laboratory-based. Okay. Okay, focus groups, observations, and interviews. Those are a way to collect qualitative data. And this qualitative data can be turned into numbers. Which of the following do both methods provide primary qualitative data? Experiments and interviews, questionnaires and sampling, literature reviews and surveys, observations and case studies. Mm-hmm. Okay. So here we are. So congrats, Kenini. You did a great job. So you got the first place. And here we are celebrating. Okay. This is a really good practice. So as you can see here, we can have scores to the questions. Okay, great job. So this was a way to warm up, to remind some of the most important elements and topics that you were seeing in the material and some of the most relevant terms as well. So now we're ready to continue. So basically, this workshop, it's about what do you study during these 2 weeks before coming to the workshop. And basically, it's about the research methodology. So the research methodology is a structured and scientific approach that is used to collect and also analyze and interpret the data to answer the research question or to test the hypothesis of your research. Of course, the way in which this data is going to be collected by following a quantitative or a qualitative approach will be based on the question that we have um, state at the beginning of this process. So an important element of this is to consider that the methodology plays an important role in your research, as it states the way in which you are going to collect the data to prove or to provide an answer to the statement of the problem that you have presented. An important element, additional to the one that I mentioned before, is that a good research methodology will ensure the reliability and the validity of the research findings. And this can be done by um, focusing the researcher team effort on collecting either quantitative, qualitative, or a mixed of both types of data in order to answer the question. Something relevant about this is that the methodology must be aligned with the research objectives. So basically, as researchers, you will design a study. That's basically the different steps that you have been following so far. And based on these, you will think on the objectives of your research, see if you will select either a quantitative or qualitative approach or a mixed approach. That could be also an option. And based on that, you will also select an instrument. And this instrument will be the means through the one that you are going to collect the data. In order to do that, you will also use some methods for analysis. Now, thinking about why the research methodology is important is because it can help other researchers if they want to replicate your research. For example, the explanations that you provide on this particular section of your paper will help them to understand how to follow your lead if they want to replicate the topic. Also, it will be easy for you as a research team to answer any question about the research that maybe will come up not on this particular moment, but it will happen probably later. Also, we'll give you a framework, so a really strong and robust framework and guidelines for you to have a clear picture of which are the objectives, which are the hypotheses, and which are the research questions. So it will basically set the boundaries and a very robust structure on those three elements. At the same time, while you are building the methodology, you will be able to um, define the sampling technique that you will use, the way in which data will be collected, and which are going to be the analysis methods that you are going to use in order to present the results. Another important element here is that having a clear research methodology will help you to ensure that the findings or results that you are getting are valid and reliable and free from biases and errors. So basically, it will ensure that the results are the most accurate data available. Now, talking about the methodology, we have two types, the ones that we know the most, the quantitative and the qualitative. The quantitative, as its number, encloses a very clear meaning, which is about numbers, numerical data, and it is really good for reaching a large number of people. in a really short amount of time. It's usually done through testing, and what we test are the variables, and we make predictions and generalizations um, about the results for the whole population. So until this point, do you have any question? Let's see how things are doing. So can you use the reactions? Are you doing great? Are you getting the main ideas? Yes or no? You can use that button, the one that says react. So are we doing great? Cool. Good to see Kenya. And Esther and Alvaro, how are you doing? Are we doing good? Or do we have questions?
No, everything is fine. Thanks. Thank you.
Good. So continue talking about the methodology, qualitative. This one encloses a wider set of elements in order to collect the data. And this will go through the examination of opinions, behaviors, experiences of the people. And basically will collect and analyze words or textual data. We're not talking here about numbers at all. So it will require fewer participants, but even though we have a small number of participants, it will be more time consuming because the analysis will require for the research team to spend more time per participant. And there is another way, another type of methodology, which is not widely known and not widely used, which is the mixed method research methodology. And this one uses the characteristics of the ones that I mentioned before, quantitative and qualitative. So this method will allow the researchers to validate their findings and verify if the results that they have observed um, using both methods. So they are going to complement and explain any unexpected results obtained from one method using the other one. So this one it's more complete, but it will also require even more time than a qualitative research methodology. Also, there are some sampling designs based on the methodology. We have the probability sampling, non-probability sampling. We also have data collection methods. But right now we are going to focus our attention on elements that you already know. And in order to do that, we are going to continue with this activity. And you will be asked to answer some questions. If you cannot answer the questions in the text box, you can feel free to open your microphone and provide the answer.
When doing research, you often have to choose between quantitative and qualitative research. In this video, I'll explain the differences between the two. Hi, I'm Jessica from Scribber, here to help you achieve your academic goals. Let's start with the differences between quantitative and qualitative research.
Okay, so let's explain the differences between the two research methods, quantitative and qualitative. If you cannot use the textbooks that will appear there for you, you can easily use the chat, or you can also open your microphone and share your answers through the microphone. So you can use it. Feel free to open the microphone. Okay, if not, we can listen to Anastasia. Anastasia, what are the difference between the quantitative and qualitative research methods?
Okay, I'm gonna try it because I can listen you very well. Just I listen some parts.
Okay.
Well, I can say that the quantitative has large samples of
Okay. It has a
to
large.
explore and
Mhm.
large sample to explore. I said explore and describe.
Okay.
Qualitative is the opposite. Small, a small
This is
sample to explore and about the phenomena.
okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Anastasia. And that's right. With quantitative, we will have a large population. And with qualitative, we are going to have a small population. Quantitative will take less time in comparison with a qualitative research that will require extra time to address the different questions that we might have about our phenomena with the population that we have chosen. Let's see what Kenya has typed. Let's see. Okay, so quantitative is more focused in statistics, numbers, real life experiences, and general opinion from people. So we are basically, for example, trying to rate the experience of the customers or trying to rate the experience of the students who attended to a sample class by rating the quality of the class from 1 to 5, for example. General opinion from people from 1 to 5, how many stars they are going to give to their teacher, for example, or to a book. And qualitative is focused on facts and information from databases, materials, and report. Qualitative, it's more about what people has to say or what the researcher team has to see or observe. So it's more about the opinion that people might have and not about numbers. So we need to keep that clear. Now, when we talk about something mixed, we are going to use both research methods, the quantitative and the qualitative. So they are going to provide a base for any unexpected result that maybe could appear in the research. So based on that, it will provide a support or a foundation on why these unexpected results appear on the data collected. Okay, let's continue.
Quantitative research allows you to test hypotheses. So you can expect to see data collected with this approach will mainly be expressed in numbers and graphs. It also requires a larger sample size. These numbers are then analyzed through math and statistical analysis. On the other hand, qualitative research allows you to formulate a hypothesis. So yes, opposite to quantitative research, this approach will yield data that's expressed in words and also require fewer respondents. The data is then analyzed by summarizing, categorizing, and interpreting.
So here we have it very clear. We test hypotheses in quantitative, and on qualitative we formulate them. On quantitative, we expressed in numbers, but in qualitative we express in words. We have a larger sample size for quantitative research, and for qualitative we have a small sample size. On quantitative, we are going to present a mathematical or a statistical analysis, while on the other hand, on qualitative research, we are going to summarize, categorize, or interpret the words.
All right, now we know the differences, but when to use which?
So when are we going to use qualitative and when are we going to use quantitative? Do your best guess. It doesn't have to be the correct answer. So here we are basically learning. So feel free to share when you are going to use qualitative research and when you are going to use quantitative. You can open your microphone. It's okay.
Well, I think that quantitative I have a statistics, right? And then when we want to have exactly, but so and qualitative, this is according to the observation, understanding there. We are not going to have like a quantitative results.
Okay. Thank you, Anester. That is a great participation. I'm waiting for Kenny.
I think that when we need to use the quantitative method when we want to know about people's opinions about a topic in specific, like in politics or in economy or in like some topic like that. And the qualitative, maybe we should use it when we want to validate some opinions about a topic.
Okay, thank you, Kenny. So let's continue. Let's hear what the video has to say. Oh, sorry. Okay, we're going to play by me. We were at this point.
It's very simple. If your goal is to confirm or test a theory or a hypothesis, you're most likely going to opt for the quantitative approach. But if you want to understand or explore an idea, then you should go for the qualitative approach. There's also a third approach.
What is the third approach? We already know that it exists quantitative and qualitative. What is the third approach?
The mixed one.
Exactly, it's the mixed one. We can use
The mixed
both.
one.
We can use both at the same time.
Which combines quantitative with qualitative. And this is called the mixed method. Let's see how it applies in a concrete example, shall we? Say we want to find out how satisfied students are in their studies. I'll show you how both approaches can answer this question. If I'm taking the quantitative approach, I can survey 300 students at the university and ask them questions like, on a scale from 1 to 5, how satisfied are you with your professors? With the collected data, I will run a statistical analysis and draw conclusions that might sound something like, on average, students rate their professors 4.4 out of 5. But if I want to go for a qualitative approach, then I can conduct interviews with 15 students and ask them open-ended questions such as, how satisfied are you with your studies? Or, what can be done to improve the study program? Then, I transcribe the interviews and try to find patterns or recurring themes. For example, something like students would like to have more one-on-one guidance from their professors. For the mixed method approach, you first conduct interviews with the students. Through that, you gain new insights and come up with a hypothesis. For example, you learn through interviews that students prefer individual assignments over group projects. Then you test whether this applies to a larger scale of students using survey research. It's also possible to do it the other way around. You can start out with a survey to see the bigger picture, then use interviews to understand the reason behind it. Now, I will go over data collection for both approaches in this video very briefly, but if you want to know more, just check the article in the description. To collect quantitative data,
So which instruments you can use to collect quantitative data?
Survey, questionnaires,
Forms.
Forums. You can also have interviews, individual interviews, or something that is called focus groups with more than 2 people there. Okay, let's continue.
data, you can, for example, survey people online, in person, or over the phone, conduct experiments, or observe subjects. On the other hand, collecting qualitative data
So for qualitative data, what are we going to do? What instruments we need to collect this type of data? How do you collect qualitative data? Maybe you can document through the leadership review. Start to look for many sources. You can conduct focus groups, which are discussions with 6 to 10 people and a moderator. Qualitative observation, which is basically collecting data by using the 5 senses, the sight, the smell, touch, taste, hearing. Yeah, they're not so popular. So I understand that probably you are struggling trying to answer that. Okay, let's continue.
data can be quite different. You can do an interview, get a focus group, do a case study, or a literature review. And that's it for this video. If you've learned something, give this video a like, and if you have any question, ask away and I will reply. See you in our next video.
Okay, so far, Anastasia and Kenya, do you have questions about the elements that we have discussed, that we have watched in the video, or that you have read in the materials?
No, I am fine.
You're doing great, Kenya, or do you have questions?
No, I don't have any question.
Good, so let's continue. So here we have a document. We are going to work together since it's only the 3 of us. We are going to work in the document that will appear in a moment on screen. And we are going to try to classify the topics into qualitative or quantitative research. So you can start working together and discussing why each of the topics belongs to either one of the categories. So let me share. See the next slide. So here we are. Let me see. Yes, you can edit. So you are going to classify these topics into qualitative and quantitative research. So we have a chart here, and the topics are listed above. So basically, with the chart that is below, we are going to be copy and pasting. So I can copy and paste for you. You just have to tell me if I have to place the topic into the qualitative or quantitative column. So look at the first one. You can read it, and then you can come up with a classification.
Um, for me, well, that can be mixed because if we are going like to take into account like the scores or the subjects, the teachers, it can be mixed. But if we are only taking into account like the quality of the classes, maybe quantitative could be.
Are you sure that it's quantitative? Okay. What about you,
Sorry,
Anis?
qualitative. Quantitative is the
Okay.
other one.
One
I think it is qualitative.
qualitative. Okay. Let's continue with the second one. Parental involvement in early childhood education. Investigate the ways in which parents engage with their children's education at the preschool or elementary school level, focusing on their motivation, challenges, and the impact on children's development. Qualitative or quantitative? Take your time to analyze. We're not in a hurry.
It's also qualitative.
Qualitative, okay. Okay, the third one. Standardized testing and college admissions. Investigate the relationship between standardized test scores, SAT or ACT, and college acceptance rates, taking into account factors such as socioeconomic status and race.
Quantitative.
Quantitative. Okay, and Esther, do you agree, disagree?
Quantitative.
Okay. Let me see. Standardized testing. Okay. I skip two. The impact of homework on academic achievement. Study to analyze the correlation between the amount of homework assigned and the students' test scores. Which one do you think is?
Mix.
We only have two. We only have two. Remember, Anester, we have quantitative or qualitative.
Oh,
We're not talking yet
oh.
about mixed. Look at the keywords there. Correlation, amount of homework assigned, and students' test scores.
Then it's quantitative. I thought because at the beginning it's analyze. That's why.
Uh-huh. Right. Okay. Okay. Now, online learning experiences during the COVID-19 pandemic. Between 2020 and 2021, let's say 2022, many research were focused on this topic. So this is quite popular here. Online learning experiences during the COVID-19 pandemic examine the qualitative aspects of students' experiences with online learning, including challenges faced, strategies employed, and the impact on their academic performance. So what do you think?
Qualitative.
Qualitative. Mhm. Yeah, here it's easy because it already says qualitative there. Okay, qualitative. We already answered this one, standardized test and college admissions. Now let's see this one. Effects on class size on a student's performance. Analyze the impact of class size on academic achievement, comparing outcomes in smaller and larger class settings.
It can be qualitative and quantitative.
That will depend on the approach, okay? And if we want to label this, what do you think would be like the best choice? Is it have to do with numbers or with opinion? It's okay, take your time, read it again.
Maybe quantitative.
Maybe quantitative, okay. Now let's see this one. Teacher burnout and coping mechanism. Conduct in deep interviews with teachers to explore the causes of burnout, how they cope with stress, and the potential implications for classroom performance and students' outcomes. What do you think about this? Pardon? What do you say?
Qualitative.
Qualitative. Okay. Now let's see this one. The role of feedback in student learning. Investigate how qualitative feedback provided by teachers, example written comments on assignments, impacts students' understanding, engagement, and motivation to improve. Is this quantitative or qualitative? What do you think?
Qualitative.
Qualitative, okay. Over here. Technology in the classroom and students' engagement. Use surveys and data analysis to explore how the integration of technology, such as tablets or online resources, affects students' engagement and learning outcomes. So is it quantitative, qualitative,
Qualitative.
Quantitative.
quantitative? Okay. Okay, now let's see this one. Teacher qualifications and student achievement. Study the connection between teacher qualifications, for example, education level, experience, and student achievement in specific subjects or grade levels. Yes? What is it? Is this about numbers or not? Or it's about words or opinions? So reflect on that one. Mhm. So teacher's qualification and
It's
student.
quantitative. It says qualification.
Yes, excellent. So you're getting the gist here, which is basically identifying keywords in order to decide whether it's quantitative or qualitative. Okay, let's see. We're about to finish this. Okay. School funding and student success. Investigate the relationship between school funding levels and student success indicators, such as graduation rates and standardized test scores.
Quantitative.
Quantitative, okay. Because again, we're talking about numbers here. Okay, now we have inclusive education practices. Inclusive education practices explore the experiences of students with disabilities in inclusive classrooms, focusing on their interaction with peers, teachers, and the overall learning environment. Is this quantitative or qualitative?
Qualitative.
Qualitative, because we are trying to record experiences. I have this last one. Impact on early childhood programs. Examine the long-term effects of participation in early childhood education programs, Head Start, on students' academic performance and social emotional development.
Qualitative.
Are you sure?
So because it says at the end, emotional.
Okay,
Examine the
so you said
long-term
qualitative.
qualitative, yes.
Qualitative, okay. But we are talking about academic performance. And we can measure social emotional development by ranking. So quantitative or qualitative?
Saying that it can be, and then it's quantitative.
Quantitative, okay.
Because I thought that it could not
Yes,
be measured.
the social emotional development makes you doubt. That's right. So let's check one by one. The impact of teachers' relationship on academic performance. It's qualitative because what we are going to explore are the relationship between teachers and students and how this influences the students' motivation, engagement, and learning outcomes. This particular set, well, actually both, the ones that are on the qualitative or the ones in quantitative columns, will be easily adapted into the mixed method. That will depend on the perspective that the research team has. But if we want to label one to another into each of the categories, we need to check the keywords that I mentioned previously. For example, here on the other side, on quantitative, we are talking about standardized testing. And we are also talking about acceptance rates, taking factors like socioeconomic status and race. So we're basically measuring characteristics or demographics in numbers. So let's move on and see the other one. Parental involvement. And here I see why you were thinking about the last topic being qualitative instead of quantitative. Because over here we were talking about the impact on children's development. That's the reason why. Now, on the other side, we have the impact of homework on academic achievement, how to analyze the correlation between the homework assigned and the students' test scores in various subjects. Here we have also qualitative aspects. That is quite clear. And even if we continue reading, we're talking here about experiences, challenges, the strategies that they employed. And all those elements are qualitative. And here, in contrast with technology in the classroom and students' engagement, we're talking about surveys and conducting a data analysis based on those surveys. Now, teacher burned out and coping mechanisms. So here we are going to explore the causes of burnout, and obviously the researcher team will get those causes probably through one-on-one interviews, focus groups, and questionnaires with open questions.
The clue word is explore, right?
Exactly. Words that implying to go beyond numbers. Because with quantitative data, we will give numbers to prove or not a phenomenon. But with one qualitative, we are providing context. And if we use a mixed methodology, we provide context for the results that we have. That's how it works. Ideally, for education and educational purposes, conducting a research and focusing your methodology on a mixed method is a really good way to guarantee that your results are reliable, that they are not biased. But it's not that simple as it seems when it comes to use different instruments, conduct different data analysis, and finding a way to present the results. And as you have been seeing in the chart, some of the topics resemble to the topics that some groups have decided to research. But of course, based on the context that we faced here in the region, here in El Salvador, or there in the places where you live, or the institutions where you work. So do you have any questions or comments?
Well, I have some doubt before, but now with the examples, I can see that I am on the way.
Okay,
Thanks.
that's good. Probably this is something that you will need to do now that you will be working on the methodology of your research. To probably write down your research statement on a large piece of paper on a board to make letters quite big and large so that you can read it and start looking for those keywords that will tell you what kind of methodology you need to select. Or maybe if you notice that it's not fully clear, maybe you can still make some adaptations in order to orient the statement of your problem to the methodology that you have selected. That would be a good exercise that you can do. Now in here, we are going to watch a video and we are going to discuss important information. We have been discussing a little bit about some of the elements that are going to be presented. So we are going to watch the video, make some pauses, and add additional explanations or additional comments to what we are going to listen. So feel free to open your microphone and share your ideas.
It's a video?
Yes,
No?
it's a video. Just
I couldn't.
wait for a
I
moment because
oh,
it's kind of loading because it's a little bit longer. It's a 14 minutes video. So maybe I
yeah.
will try and see if,
are relevant and that
yeah,
we just talked about. All right, well, let's dive right in.
don't worry if
Want to
the
start
volume
I
is
can
too
listen.
low.
sort of comic here.
We are going to
This
focus our
was
attention on the
really part of
slides.
what the
Okay.
So what can you see there? Look at the scene that we have there. We have one scene for quantitative method and the other for the qualitative method. On the quantitative, we have someone who is just behind a bush and it says only 1 in 30 take the free ice cream. Interesting. So maybe that person who is just behind the bush is an researcher and he has quantitative data. And his quantitative data is that only one person from the 30 that saw the ad that says free ice cream stop and take that free ice cream. On the other scene, we have the qualitative methods and we have the following dialogue. What do you feel when you saw the free ice cream? Excited, a little scared. And what was that? So you see, data is different. Have the person that took the ice cream, the free ice cream, and this person is being interviewed. So we are trying to collect more data, more than just those numbers of one person of 30 taking the ice cream.
what the difference is between quantitative and qualitative methods. So quantitative methods You see on the left there, free ice cream. Only 1 in 30 take the free ice cream. Interesting.
Is the volume of the video.
But then more of the qualitative method, whereas the quantitative as well. We want to get down into it.
So we can see here this chart that compares both methods. And we have some elements here: data type, analysis, research conclusions, and methods. So if we pay close attention to the quantitative column, we see that data is a structure, and most of the time we are going to see close-ended answers collected. Like, for example, in from 1 to 5, provide your opinion on how satisfied you are. Let's take it into consideration that we are talking about a product. And this person will select 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 stars. That is a close-ended answer. Now, the analysis. The analysis of this data will be statistical. How? Well, out of the 30 people that I offered my survey, 90% selected a rate of 4 stars for this product. Research conclusions are unbiased results because we are just focusing on the numbers that we have collected, and we are going to come up with statements indicating these conclusions or results. What kind of instruments or methods we are going to use? Surveys mostly, or research experiments that will allows us to collect numbers. On the qualitative column, we see unstructured data, and we see that in the form of open-ended questions, and will give us open-ended text or free-form responses. Like, for example, the scene that we previously saw. So, what do you feel when you saw the free ice cream? And maybe one of the people being interviewed will say, oh, I was excited. No, I was afraid. I was scared. Or I was neutral about that. We couldn't predict any of those 3 answers. Now, the analysis of this data is that we have the responses of 3 people. One stated that he was afraid, that was scared. The other one was neutral about the ice cream, the free ice cream. And the other one was excited. How we are going to conclude on qualitative data? Basically, it will be a subject influenced by the opinions of the people, which are the instruments or methods that we use to collect the data. Focus groups. So we are going to have 6 to 10 people in one room. They're going to start asking open-ended questions, and they are going to provide their free-form responses. I'm going to summarize all those responses, and then I'm going to share their opinions, because that's basically what the results are going to be.
Quantitative is, and qualitative, you can see on the left and right.
Now let's move to
Qualitative sections and so forth. We'll
the
get into
next
sampling a little bit.
slide.
Although we're trying and floating those insights numbers of people that for methods.
I was expecting him to help us, but the volume is not helping us. So quantitative best practices. Interesting here. So quantitative, again, numbers. Which methods we have here? Basically, we don't call them methods. We call them instruments. Survey. Sorry. Okay, survey research, correlational research, causal comparative research, and experimental research. So we have these different methods. The focus of a survey research is basically using a tool or instrument for quantitative outcomes. And we are going to use a questionnaire in the form of a survey. Sample size will depend on the whole population that we have. For a correlational research, we are going to conduct a relationship between two closely knit or two related entities and how one impacts over the other one. And we are going to need two sample groups minimum. For the causal comparative research, here researchers are trying to conclude the cause and effect between two or more variables, and the sample size goes from a range to 20 to 60 individuals. The experimental research is mostly based on theories, and the sample size will vary, will be quite different for the type of theory or theories that you want to prove.
Depth on each of these, because honestly, each set of question pro, percentages that a certain number of different things. There's for this one, really the difference is that
For quantitative sampling methods, we have the convenience sampling, the consecutive sampling, quota sampling, snowball sampling, and judgmental sampling. And they are non-probability, means are not based on any probabilistic calculation. So convenience, we take elements that are chosen only due to one situation here. The proximity to the research. Okay, I live in Santa Tecla, so I'm going to select a school in Santa Tecla to conduct my research. Consecutive sampling. Researchers choose a single element or a group of samples and conduct the research consecutively over a significant period. So they have this large span of time and they are conducting the research in different moments. Quota sampling. Here it's quite easy. They select elements by using a particular target of characteristics and they extract data from that particular group of people. For example, I'm going to have a sample of 19 to 23 years old university students that they must be part of the bachelor's degree in English. And they need to be studying in Universidad El Salvador. And they need to be in the last semester. So those are very particular characteristics of people. And I'm going to look for them to be my sampling. Snowball sampling. This is again a target audience and they are quite difficult to contact and get information. Now, judgmental sampling. Here, the samples are created only based on researcher experience and skills. So the researcher has experience conducting a various or different type of research. So he decides that based on his experience, he's going to focus his attention on a particular region, on a particular school, because his own experience on conducting research tells him that getting data from this particular group of people in this particular region will work best.
With probability sampling,
Now, with probability sampling method, things are a little bit different. We have different examples. Simple random sampling we implement the data collection with a target population that is considered large. Stratify random sampling. We divide the population into groups. That process is called strata, and the members of the sample are chosen randomly. That means that we can have a bowl full of the names of the people, and we just select one from one group, one for the other group, and so on, without making any relationship between the individuals or focusing our attention on particular characteristics in order to divide them in different groups. Cluster sampling, again, based on probability, we take as a sample geographic and demographic segmentation parameters. Like, for example, on this particular group, I'm going to have only women, and on this one, I'm going to have men. Systematic sample, here, they are chosen randomly, and the other features or characteristics of the groups are well stated, like, okay, I'm going to select this lady, this man, this lady, but probably they have some common grounds. Like, for example, they belong to the same institution, probably they are studying the same career, probably they belong to a particular geographic place.
You can use it for different testing methods. You're sampling when and where the target population, and then cluster sampling that responses to your overall group. All right, so non-probability sampling is really out of convenience, I think, to project to the larger population, so you don't have to, you can't really, it doesn't.
And here we have quantitative. Let me see. We already discussed these.
It doesn't necessarily mean that either. So convenience sampling, elements of the sampling, a lot of, sort of sampling methods, of course. All right, now switching gears towards qualitative.
And this question is important. Why do qualitative research? This slide is interesting, and I like the phrase it used. Humanize the numbers. Context is everything. Why do you think conducting qualitative research is relevant for the educational field? What are your opinions on this?
Can you repeat, please?
Why do you think conducting qualitative research is important in education?
Oh, because if we are investigating something about that, is because we want to know more than just to have numbers. We need to make observations and explore about something that we are studying. And I think that in numbers, just we focus on a statistic, right? And just we follow like a rule, but in this case, we know more than a percentage, for example.
Okay, thank you for your contribution, Anastasia. Kenya, do you have any additional thoughts on this?
Well, I don't have like an idea like to say it. I understand, but I didn't like think of something to say.
Okay, so something important about qualitative research in education is that it will give us like the whole story. And sometimes as educators, we require context and the whole story about the results. For example, thinking about our country, the gap that there is in terms of access to internet, for example, will require that we have a context on the results that probably we are going to get if we are trying to research a topic that will be affected by this gap in the access of internet. So it will tell people the whole story about this particular research. At the same time, it will provide um, evidence that will support the results, the numeric results. Because in the end, even though we conduct qualitative research, we are going to get numbers. And most of the time, even though we reinforce that the kind of research that we are conducting is qualitative, we are going to have numerical results.
Qualitative research. I know some of hardcore quant, but I wouldn't completely for project maybe getting better apply the biggest things. There's many different types.
So we have many things here, like for example, the method of ethnographic, the narrative, the phenomenological, grounded theory, and case study. So each one has its own focus, sample size, and the data collection form. So if we talk about that ethnography method, so we focus our context on our attention on context or culture. The sample size is not specific. The data collection instruments could be either observation or interviews. If the method, it's the narrative, we have individual experience or sequence. A sample size of 1 or 2 subjects, the stories from individuals and documents. If it is a phenomenological, people who have experienced the phenomenon, and we can have a sample size from 5 to 25 people. And we conduct interviews. If our method is grounded theory, we develop a theory from grounded in the field data that we have collected, and we are going to have a sample size of 20 to 60. By conducting interviews, probably we are going to collect data. And the case study, it's basically focused on organization, an entity, an individual, or an event. There is not a set sample size, and the data collection means could be interviews, documents, reports, or even observations.
Different types of qualitative research. You can't have quant survey. And then this really goes around interview big push with mobile qualitative research.
And this one is quite interesting. What comes to your mind when you read mobile qualitative research?
Maybe to study the frequency that people use the mobile, something like that.
Okay, maybe the frequency they people uses their devices could be a way to research. Okay, any other idea? Okay, so mobile qualitative research is quite interesting. It's something that we haven't explored that much, at least in our field, because the use that it's given until this point is mostly about, for example, things like trying to find out, let me give you an example. When you go and download an app, let's imagine that you want to start a weight loss program, and there is an app for you to do it. And you download the app and you start using the app for 1 month, 2 months, and suddenly on the third month of use, a pop-up appears on your screen in the cell phone. And this pop-up wants you to answer some questions. It asks you your gender. It asks you the region where you live. It asks your age. And it asks you also about the reason why you downloaded the app. So this is a way to conduct research. And they are asking these 3 questions that are closed, and you will provide the closed answers to these. But then there's a 5th question, and on that 5th question, they are asking you about.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I have to leave right now. I wrote you in the chat.
Okay,
Some
I
minutes
haven't checked the chat.
before.
Okay, Kenya, it's okay. Thank you.
No, Esther.
I mean, Esther.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much.
My pleasure, Esther. So the 5th question is focused on getting your opinion on how useful the app has been. And it asks you to provide, for example, detail how many pounds you have lost, on the use you are given to the tips about diet, if you are using those tips into your diet. Also ask you to provide feedback on the type of exercises that you are seeing as part of the routine. So that is a clear example of a mobile qualitative research. So next time that you are answering a question or similar to that, you are being a subject of a mobile qualitative research. And here we have, you can see here that we have geolocation, push notifications, like the example that I was telling you, real-time response, administer questions, topics, discussions, and all this data is live. And based on that, there are reports that can be downloaded. Text categorization can be done as well, and word clouds too.
What we're getting
So,
to, and I would say
until this point, Kenya, do you have any question?
And then
Now everything's clear to me.
Okay, so in order to finish today's session, this is a kind reminder on the upcoming workshop, which will be on May the 26th. Chapter 3 will be about research methodology. Chapter 3 is research methodology. The due date will be the 27th, the next day of our workshop, and you need to keep participation active in campus. So this is all for today, and it was a pleasure to have you here. Let me stop sharing the screen and also recording. Okay.